Hello beautiful humans, my name is Taryn and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we are going to be doing a reading wrap up of both the month of March, because I never did that, and April. So we have a lot of books here. How many do we have to go through? 1, 2, 3, 4, 22 books. I will be using my Goodreads a lot during this because, especially my March reads, I don't have a good memory, besties. So I might not remember a lot of what I read, and that's okay. So yeah, if you see me looking at my phone, it's because I'm looking at my Goodreads. Let's bring it all the way back to the month of March. We started off with My Dark Romeo by Parker S. Huntington and LJ Shen. And the girls and I read this on our little book reading retreat, and my goodness gracious, I hated this book. I hated it. I gave it 1 star. It was horrendous. It was terrible. And I do not know how so many people have talked about this book. Because we picked it up thinking like, oh my god, so many people have said that this is like 4 and 5 stars. So many people love this book. You're wrong for that. I'm sorry, but you are. Here's just some highlights that I wrote down. She smelled her dad's underwear and said it smelled like moldy cheese. Why did that need to be written? They had sex through the sheets on multiple occasions. Talk about uncomfortable. I can't imagine. She nibbled, and I wrote that in capital letters, nibbled, because that was the word that was used in the book. Nibbled on his ew. I wrote, all I could picture was her eating a piece of corn. Please don't ask. Why did I feel the need to write that part? And then them very seriously and sexily calling his penis a peepee. Oh, God, dear God, Lord have mercy on my soul. I don't even want you to read it to go through it. I've read books where I'm like, please read it to go through what I had to go through. I don't want you to do that. I don't want you. It was terrible. There is another one coming out that I will probably read. Don't ask. Okay, next. After that, I read So Not Meant to Be by Megan Quinn. I gave this 4.5 stars. This is the second book in this series. Does the series have a name? In the Kane Brothers series. Okay, so the first 9 chapters of this book were super annoying. The 2 main characters were literally in a competition to see who could annoy each other the most, and they were winning. I was the most annoyed out of that situation, but when JP Kane fell, ladies and gentlemen and everyone else, JP Kane. I am the biggest sucker for a man who is just in love with a woman, head over heels in love with a woman, and that is JP Kane. Now, besides the first 9 chapters being annoying, our main girly, Kelsey, she, I swear to God, was in this mentality where she was like, I'm just gonna overlook everything that he does for me and not believe it. Everything that he does, a lie. Everything that he does, ignored. And that annoyed the living shit out of me. I almost threw my Kindle and this book multiple times while reading, but JP made up for it. Okay, he made up for it. 4.5. And then I read my first 5-star romance of the year, and that was Mixed Signals by BK Borison. You know how I just said that I have such a soft spot for a man that loves his woman. Oh my God, Caleb. The blueprint. I was sobbing reading this book solely because of the love that this man had for Layla. Yeah, for Layla. This was everything. This book was everything. I just honestly just being back on Love Light Farms made me happy enough, and then everything in this book just made me 10 times happier. I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. The best of the series so far. After that, I picked up Off to the Races by Elsie Silver. This is the series that comes before technically the Chestnut Springs series. I gave this 4 stars. I don't know if I said that already. I gave this 4 stars. And look, I loved the entire beginning and the middle of this, but that 3rd act breakup came and our guy acted like the biggest man-child. It automatically knocked it down a star. And then on top of that, Girly Pop forgave him so easily. And that's not allowed in my book. The man must grovel, and he didn't grovel enough for me, so I gave it 4 stars. But I am just happy to be back in another little Elsie Silver world. Then I started the audio of These Violent Delights by Chloe Gong. Quickly realized it is a Romeo and Juliet retelling. Figured out that it ends the same way as Romeo and Juliet, and decided I won't be reading this, so I DNF'd it. And then I picked up Fangirl Down by Tessa Bailey, and I have been waiting to love another Tessa Bailey book because for a hot second there, y'all, I was hating what she was writing. Hating it with a burning passion, okay? But this, I gave 4.5 stars. Wanna know why? Is because of Wells Whitaker. Because again, this man would die for Josephine. Would die for her. So I loved it. The dirty talk, disgusting. It was terrible. I didn't like it, so I knocked it down a 0.5 star. But I would die for Wells Whitaker. He was everything. Oh, and also something about Tessa's writing that I've noticed that now irks me every time I notice it while reading is that she uses furthermore a lot in her writing. And if I'm not reading a high schooler's like essay on random things, why am I reading the word furthermore? That shouldn't be used. It shouldn't be used, I think. Personally, it annoys me. Okay? It's stupid, a stupid little small thing, but it annoys me. And now watch, I bet you'll catch it every single time you read her books, and it'll piss you off too, and I'm sorry. I then listened to Midnight is the Darkest Hour by Ashley Winstead, and I read this one because I hated In My Dreams I Hold a Knife. I did not like it one bit. It was just not good to me. But then I read The Last Housewife by her, and I gave it 5 stars, and it was amazing and perfect. So I was like, okay, so where do I stand with this lady? Let me read another book from her. And then this, I gave a 3 star. Like, it just, this is what I wrote, okay, in my Goodreads review. I'm so fucking confused on what I just read. How this book somehow embodied Twilight, Footloose, Bonnie and Clyde, Romeo and Juliet. It was just too much. Too much going on, too much cringe, too much of me yelling, girly, if you don't get your head out of your ass. It was good, but it was also everywhere and nowhere and kind of bad. And that sums that up. I might knock it down to a 2 because after reading that review, how could I give it 3 stars? Because I'm thinking about like what other books I've given 3 stars. And those books I kind of liked, and now I'm saying that this was kind of bad. I'm confused with my own rating. I'm gonna knock it down to a 2. I'm glad we talked about it. Thank you. After that, I read The Enemy by Sarah Adams. This is the 2nd book in the It Happened in Charleston series, and I gave it 4 stars. It was a cute rom-com. The guy fell hard, he fell fast. I love that. We know this. Apparently this was the month of that. Sarah Adams can really do no wrong in my eyes unless she's writing a virgin MC, and this does not have that, so thank God. So I liked it. It was cute. It's a romance. Oh, and I remember laughing hysterically while reading this. They're like, it's giving enemies to lovers is what it was. Lovers to enemies to lovers, however you want to say that. It was good. I then listened to The Box in the Woods by Maureen Johnson. This is the 4th book in the Truly Devious series, and it was my absolute favorite of the series so far. I give it 4 stars, and this series, now that I've like continued to read it, has become one of those series that feels like I'm watching a TV show where like or maybe not even a TV show, like a movie type thing where like if I stop reading it, I'm like, wait, things are still happening. I'm missing something. You know what I mean? And I love this so much. I can't tell you literally anything about it. Not that I've told you a single thing about any of these books besides how I felt about them, but because it'll obviously give away other things that have happened in the series. But I will say, if you stopped after the first one, try to keep reading them. The first one was my least favorite just because it was super slow, but after that first one I started listening to them on audio and they got a lot better for me, because you're also like growing up, like you're kind of reading them growing up, so it doesn't seem as it doesn't seem as young anymore, like they're getting into their adulthood, and I don't know. They got a lot better, and I thoroughly enjoyed this. After that, I listened to Kingdom of the Feared by Carrie Maniscalco, and I hated this series when I first started it, but this one kind of redeemed it for me. Kind of. Like, I wish the first two didn't exist and it was just this book. That's really what I wish. I gave it a 3.5 star because it was still, I don't know, I still just have like weird feelings about it. How this whole series started off with her sister going missing and her trying to find her sister, and then it somehow becoming so much about just the two main characters having sex with each other. Just, it like threw me off. It's like the sister was gone, vanished, and no one gave a shit anymore because sex was not on the table, if that makes sense. I couldn't give it more than a 3.5 star because I know that like the whole series just kind of pissed me off. Let me read exactly what I wrote in my review. I said, the absolute best book of the series, and I kind of wish the other two books didn't exist at all and could somehow have just been added to this book. There was so much information in this entire series that I think was not necessary at all. I love Wrath. Emilia still annoys the ever-living shit out of me, and somehow her sister was worse. A little mad I kept reading this series, not gonna lie. So I will probably be listing this whole series on Pango if somebody else wants to pick it up, because some people love this series. It was just not for me. Okay, and then the last book of the month of March was Never Never by Colleen Hoover. I haven't picked up a Coho book in so long, but it was my it was one of my TBR jar pools was to read a Coho book. So I picked up this one and I gave it 2 stars. It was so boring. It was so boring. The only reason it's a 2-star is because I loved Silas, the main character. That's it. And I also wrote, what the fuck was the epilogue? I don't know what it was. I couldn't tell you a single thing about this book. Yes, I can. They like forgot who they were. Like every so often they just forgot everything about themselves, and then they were trying to like come back together. And then they forgot themselves, and then they would come back together. And the entire time we're trying to figure out why they keep forgetting themselves. And it's because they weren't in love anymore, and that's why they forgot. Spoiler. And it's just like, maybe it's the whole repeating type of thing. Not that they repeated their day, but it was just like, oh, they forgot each other again. Oh my god, they remember. Oh, they forgot each other again. Oh my god, they remembered. Oh, like it just like kept going over and over and on and on and on, and I was just bored. This is also by Taryn Fisher, and I have read 2 of her books before and I hated them. So yeah, I don't know. And now we are on to the month of April. April was a good month. April was a very, very, very good reading month. Okay, so first up we have Unfortunately Yours by Tessa Bailey, and this book I gave 5 stars. Do you want to know why? Can you guess why? I'll let you. Yep, it's because August, our main guy, was so infatuated with Natalie. It hurt him, and I loved it. 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 My boss didn't like it because it's enemies to lovers type thing. She didn't love that. But I loved it. I loved every second of it. And August is right up there. This is hard to say. Okay. He is right up there with Brendan from It Happened One Summer. That's hard to say because that man I have on a pedestal, but August can get right up there with him. Yes, he can. I also read Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez, and this was also a 5-star book. I cannot explain to you what this book did to me besides break my heart, put it back together, and break my heart and put it back together, and break my heart and put it back together. It was amazing. It was beautiful. I sobbed. I loved it. It was perfect. It was perfect. That's it. That is how I feel about every Abby Jimenez book. I listened to, finally, Not a Happy Family by Sherry Lapina. And I don't remember anything about this book, so let me go look at my review. I gave it 3 stars, and my review says, kept me entertained, but nothing special. And that's all that I can give to you, because, again, I have no idea what this is about. Oh, there's a killer involved. Oh, this is one where, like, the mom and the dad died, and like all the siblings were they were suspects, that's the word, and you're just trying to figure out who did it the entire time, and then it ends so stupidly. Okay, 3 stars is a good rating. Oh god. And then I read The Rebel by Marnie Mann, and look, besties, I normally love a surprise pregnancy, okay? I do. Don't come at me for it. I do. This one, however, not good. Not done well. No. I gave this 2 stars, I think. I gave it 2.5 stars because, yeah, it wasn't done well. It wasn't a good book. I didn't love it. I didn't care about anybody in this book. And since we're on a streak of me just not loving the books that I read after I just said that this was such an amazing month, I also read The Spare Room by Andrea Bartz. Bro, what the is this book? What was this book? Y'all. It was icky. It was icky and weird, and the ending was terrible, and I hated everyone. And the one person I did like, I hated at the end. I hated everyone. Everyone was so stupid. Everyone was so annoying. I genuinely could not stand this book. What did I give it? I gave it a 2 star. I could go down to a 1. I'm going down to a 1. I hated it. Okay, I think that's like the last of like the books that I didn't love. Okay, all right, now I read Funny Story by Emily Henry. This and Abby Jimenez were 2 of my most anticipated romances from this year, and neither of them disappointed. I gave this 4.5 stars. It was so good. I feel like a lot of people aren't loving this book because it is very much friends to lovers, and at the beginning they are very much just friends, which like makes sense. They both got a like year-long relationships. What do you expect them to do? Automatically fall in love with the next person that they see? No, they're gonna be besties first. Not that they were really besties by any means. They were just roommates, but they were still kind of friends, and then they became more, and it was just like, it was so good. It was so cute. I didn't know how I was gonna feel about homeboy, what's his name? Sorry, I suck at names. About Miles at first, but he grew on me. He really did grow on me. It was cute. I will probably go back and reread it next year and tap it. Beach read is still my favorite. Okay, so now let's talk about a book that I have been terrified to read for like the longest time because so many people hyped it up, and I was like, oh god, if so many people are hyping it up, am I gonna like it? Yeah, the answer is yes. This book is amazing. The 7-Year Slip by Ashley Poston, right? Amazing. I listened to it on audio, and I shit you not, as soon as I like started it and got like 2 chapters in, I said to my Instagram story, I was like, how did I think I wouldn't like this? How did I think I wouldn't like it? Because I was obsessed with it. I could not stop listening to it. It was utter perfection, and I apologize to everyone who told me to read it, and I was just like, yeah, sure, maybe next time. Yeah, sure, maybe next month. Yeah, I'll eventually get to it. I'm sorry, because it was amazing. I was very worried about like the time jumping thing, because the whole point of it is like she lives in this magical apartment that like jumps her back in time 7 years, and like she meets someone 7 years ago, but then god, it's so good. I highly think this is gonna be like a top read of 2024. Another amazing book that I listened to was Ruthless Vows by Rebecca Ross. Again, another book I was terrified to listen to because, well, first of all, the first one, the way that ended, you thought I was just gonna jump into it because I was gonna be like, oh my god, I need to know what's next. No, I was terrified. The way that ended, I was like, no, I'm gonna have to sit on this for a second and like think about my heart being shattered into a million pieces. This was so good. This was so good. I gave it a 4.5 star. The only reason I gave it a 4.5 star, not a 5 star, was because of that one specific thing that happened at the end of the book that didn't need to happen. It didn't need to happen. So I knocked it down a 0.5 star because I wasn't happy with that part happening. Okay, but other than that, I think this was so much better than the first one, mostly because there was just a lot more action in this book. I feel like there wasn't very much action that happened in Divine Rivals. Divine Rivals was just very much like romance, building the world, building the magic, that kind of stuff. And this had the action, this had the romance, this had everything except for the end fucking piece. It was amazing. It was amazing. Another really good book that I read was A Love Letter to Whiskey by Candy Steiner. But here's the thing. I gave it 4 stars because I don't think that I was in the correct headspace to read this. So I gave it 4 stars, and I think that eventually I'll try to reread it. I just don't know when. It was very much like toxic romance. If you read Magnolia Parks, then you would kind of get where this is coming from. And yeah, I loved it. I think that's so, like, I understand why so many people give this 5 stars and think it's the most amazing book ever. I gave it 4. Oh, okay, I guess going back to a book that I did not like because I didn't realize that I gave this a 2 star until I opened back up my rating for it. But I listened to The Hunting Wives by May Cobb, and I mean, now that I read my review, I like remember why I gave it a 2 star, and that's because the main character in this book was the most stupid character I have ever read in my entire life. She could not make a good decision once. She did not make a good decision once. She was an idiot. And I'm sorry to say that. But she got what was coming to her. She really did. Because she's stupid. Everyone in this book was stupid. Everybody in this book was mean. Everybody in this book was dirty and nasty and gross. Ew. Ew. Ugh. Okay? So, there we go. But ending on a good note, I listened to Light Lark by Alex Astor, and I gave it a 3.5 star. I buddy read this, buddy listened to it, whatever, with my best friend, and I really liked it. It was, okay, so the beginning of it dragged so much, and by beginning I do mean the first 65% of the book dragged so much. But I hadn't read a fantasy book in like a super long time, so putting myself back in that mindset of like, okay, Taryn, the world building, come on, you know, like you have to go through this to get to the good part. Then I kind of was like, okay, yeah, you're right. That makes sense. The end of it was amazing. The end of it was so good. I can't wait until I get the audio for the second book. It should be coming in like super soon. And I just know that Nightshade, which is the second one, right? Nope. Nightbane, which is the second one in the series, is going to be amazing. I feel like it's going to be very much like the Divine Rivals, Ruthless Vows thing, where like the first one was very much world building, magic, little romance, blah blah blah, and the second one's going to be like shit's happening, oh my god, that's crazy, wow, plot twist. It's going to be all that, and I'm gonna eat it up. But this one was just kind of like meh, 3.5. Okay, I think that might be the longest at least it feels like, the longest reading wrap up I've done in a hot minute. But you know, we have some good ones, we had some bad ones. We had my first 5-star romance books of the year, which is so exciting. That puts me in such a good mood. Let me know if you've read any of these and if you have any of my same thoughts, or if you disagree with any of the things that I said, because you know, we can have our own opinions, besties, we can. If you liked any of the books I hated, that's okay. If you liked My Dark Romeo though, I may be judging just a lot. I will try my bestest not to miss another month so that we don't have to go through a super long video like this again. Please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you can be notified when I post again. I love you. I hope you have an amazing day, night, week, month, and year. Goodbye, beautiful humans.